Have you ever walked into a situation that you were unsure of? Maybe it was a new environment, a new job. Maybe you were heading off to college. On today's episode, we're going to be talking to a friend of ours about the importance of making sure our thoughts are in the right place when we're entering into a new situation. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to a special segment on the Preconceived Podcast where we introduce one of our assistant producer / technical extraordinaire who's making this podcast happen in the first place. This is Christian Santiago. Christian, thank you for being with me today. So I wanted to bring Christian on because I really do believe that Christian is somebody who really exemplifies a lot about what we're talking about here on the Preconceived Podcast. He's a college student right now, right? Where do you attend college?
Liberty University.
Liberty University. He's a freshman, right?
Yep, just started.
So I would have to imagine as a freshman, there's a lot of maybe, I wouldn't say struggles, but situations that you're finding yourself in for the first time. Is that right?
Oh yeah, all the time, every day.
So can you just talk a little about kind of like the mental, maybe not state, but preparedness when you're going into a new situation, like how you've handled those so far and maybe what advice you could give for how you might handle it if you were to do it over again?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually that you're talking about like kind of coming into a new situation, being that it's a new year, you know.
Absolutely.
And God has been talking to our church about how he's doing a new thing and how in order for something new to come, something old has to die.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the Bible talks about comfort zone, right? We always talk about what's comfortable for us. And college for me was one of those things. Like I originally didn't want to go away. I wanted to stay home. You know, I loved my church. I loved people like you. My friends, and
See, this is why I have this guy on.
Yeah. But, you know, like it was my comfort zone, you know? And if you want something amazing to come into your life, if you say, God, I want you to use me, God, I want you to fulfill the promises you told me when I was like, you know, X amount of years old, you know, like I want to see your promise. I want to see something new. I want to dive into this. You have to let the old thing die. You have to say, all right, time for this new season to come. Time to just let go. And you know, that was something that I had to do. So like every day, you know, I would kind of think about home, or I kind of think about maybe joining a worship team to kind of get the same feel, get the same, you know, thing that I used to do, because I used to do worship at my old church and even at the youth group at Faith. And you know, I just had to relax for a little bit and say, all right, this is a new season that I'm in, and maybe God just wants me to grow. You know, maybe it's not the season for giving for me. Maybe it's time for me to grow. Maybe it's time for me to invest in myself. And, you know, that's one major piece of advice.
I think that's a really good point, too, is understanding the seasons that we're in. Because when we're talking about the environment that we're creating, when we're talking about the atmosphere that we're creating, sometimes it's very easy to go into a place of being anxious when we feel like we're in a situation in life or a time of life that we either didn't expect or it's not exactly what we were looking for. So going into college and understanding that it was a time of maybe transition is such an important thing, and giving ourselves the ability, giving ourselves even the freedom to take a step back, look at where we're at, and to really think about what we're thinking about once again. To think about this is a great opportunity being away at school. It's out of your comfort zone, like you said, but you're actually using that as a situation that's going to help you grow instead of something that could be detrimental if you allowed it to be, if you just allowed yourself to be homesick or to think about your environment as being different than it was before. So that's really, really important. I think that's a great tip for us, is to understand the environment, understand the season that we're in, and to allow our thoughts to be complementary towards that season instead of being something that pull us away or keep us in a place of being anxious or fearful or whatever it might be. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. I would say, you know, don't be afraid too to step out, you know. Like, you know, the Bible says you know, you can't please God without faith, you know. So like he has to leave room for faith. I feel like in every situation of your life you're going to have room where you're going to feel like what's happening, like what in the world, like, you know, like you're gonna be confused.
And once again, faith is a journey, and that's something that we've kind of hit on a lot on this podcast in just a short time that we've been doing it, is the process. It's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, and I think a lot of times it's very easy for us to feel discouraged if we don't right away start to feel the new thoughts, the new environment that we're trying to create in our lives, because it takes work. It takes time. It takes a daily basis of thinking about what we're processing and choosing to meditate on the Word of God.
In relation to, you know, the Preconceived Podcast about your thoughts, like, you know, especially doing something big in your life, and maybe a lot of students going away to college, maybe, I don't know, people like not older people, but like younger slash
Yeah,
older
so I'm
people.
the older people right now.
The older.
I wasn't always the older
but
people.
maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to do something new, something different. Like it starts with your thought pattern. Like if you think negative thoughts, if you worry, because there's a difference between worrying and dreaming about something. So like dreaming, you have ideas that are from God. You feel the confirmation from God, and you act, and you have a plan. Like if you just think about, oh, I'm never gonna get this done. Like you have two different approaches. Like you can approach it like, oh, I'm so excited. All right, let me see how I'm gonna do this. Or like, I want to do this, but this is so impossible. Like I can't even do it. And then that's just in your mind because it's of God. It's something good.
Yeah.
You approach it differently in your thought life. Like that's
it's important to set the foundation in advance for what you're going to step out into. We talk a lot about stepping out into faith, but we don't always talk about the mindset required to step out in faith. That it doesn't begin always with the first step. Sometimes there is that process of just understanding the truth of where we're at, what God has for us, and using that as the motivation to step into what God has for us. That's such an awesome point. And I think that's something that we're going to talk about in future podcasts, because setting that environment to be able to move forward into what's next, I think is really, really cool and something we can all relate to. Well, thank you so much, Christian, for being on this special segment of the Preconceived Podcast. We're going to try to do these more and more often. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like what we're doing, and we're going to keep coming out with more unique content as we go. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Thank you, Christian. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode and enjoyed the content that we've been bringing you on a regular basis. I just wanted to once again ask if you could hit the subscribe button below. It would be very helpful for us. And I also just wanted to mention that next week we're going to be tackling a little bit of a more difficult issue, something that's going on in the world around us that I feel very strongly about. So I hope that you stay tuned for next week. And as always, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. We really appreciate your time. Have a great week.